I have no problem with the camera.
Oh, I don't either. I'm just saying this is not
I'm pretty sure
certified.
nobody will sue.
Well, let me tell you, there's several things cooking here all at once. A year from now, I've already planned to take a year to 2 years leave of absence from Home Depot, which is part of why I wanted full-time, a 401k, because that's gonna fund the dream. So the end shot of all this research and being at Puyallup last year was to do a documentary film about the Oregon Trail and all the markers that he put up going across the second time. The story about the second trip is hilarious because he left his wife and his home with a traveling companion and a dog. And it took 2 years to do it round trip. He went to New York City, and there's a picture of him on Wall Street with 10,000 people surrounding him. This old codger with a Conestoga wagon and oxen. And he gets arrested for having oxen on the street of New York City, put in jail, and then it's like, well, what do we do with the oxen and the Conestoga wagon? So they got their heads together, let him out, and he then headed for Washington, D.C., where he met with and stayed with Teddy Roosevelt. And Teddy Roosevelt insisted putting him up for 4 days so he could hear the stories firsthand.
Mom always talked about when he stayed there, he had the oxen, he had the Conestoga wagon, literally like he just did it on the front lawn, and you know, she just thought, whoa, I mean, you know, now whether, I don't know, that's what my mother always talked about, but she said, oh my gosh, the oxen and the Conestoga wagon. And so whenever I taught about that type of wagon, it really meant something to me because it was like, wow.
And her mother remembered very well.
He
Well-
was something else. I mean,
One of the
when she-
surprises that I didn't know was going to happen when I got to Puyallup was they have his last Conestoga wagon in a
Oh, they
travel
do?
trailer. And I've got pictures of the wagon, the travel trailer,
Really?
and it's parked at the Ezra Meeker Museum, which is in her house.
Wow.
Neat.
And I got to see and take pictures of it. It wasn't put together, it was broken down to travel. But I've never seen anything like that up close.
So why are the Meekers, he was just passing through, but why would the Meekers be buried at Beulah Cemetery?
Because, okay, because usual was here.
Okay, usual, okay, was the,
So
how long was usual here?
I don't know.
Oh,
I just know usual was here. That's why I have his picture. Because,
And their pictures exist of that trip here. I've seen pictures of him in Attica.
usual,
usual, yeah.
When he came back through Attica. I've seen pictures of it. Where?
but he must have stayed if so.
Well, he certainly came back. He visited
Well,
on
yeah,
his
he
way.
brought the ox, well,
We're talking usual now, right?
usual,
The
yes.
brother,
The brother,
is he buried here? No,
No.
no.
okay.
But there are Meekers at the
Beulah
at the
Cemetery.
Beulah Cemetery, and I'm trying to think. Aunt Phoebe pops in my mind.
Is Beulah close to Rob Roy?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yes, just a stone's throw.
Describe where Beulah is, and
I cannot describe where Beulah is. If you're, okay, you know where Jeffrey's Body Shop is.
yes,
Okay, so you're going out 41 Jeffrey's
Yes,
Body Shop,
yes.
you're gonna turn left,
left,
left.
okay.
So instead of there's Jeffrey's,
Going to Crawfordsville,
Newtown.
Newtown.
okay.
Yeah, you're gonna turn left, and I do not want, let's
Out
see.
by the Crawfords?
No, you're
No.
not in the right place at all. I know, I can easily take you there, I don't know the roads.
Well,
Okay,
keep that thought in mind.
all right, wait a minute, Sally Crawford,
Yes,
not Sally Crawford. Sally,
Yes.
not,
Sally and
no,
Howard?
no, not Sally Crawford. Oh,
Which property?
No, Sally, Reed Pitzer, Sally's
Ramaclis.
Ramaclis. She lives right down the road from Beulah.
Yes.
Well, we got it on Monday Afternoon Club, but I don't know that would tell you which highway to take, which road to
There's
take.
no, okay. Wait a minute.
Are you interested in either the house that they spoke of?
I'm interested in everything. And
Well,
Are you
if-
interested in the cemetery?
yes,
Okay, if you want to meet tomorrow, I will gladly take you there.
that'd be terrific.
What?
Because I would be willing to drive you there, but the afternoon, well, at any rate, we can talk about that.
He needs to see the house and he needs to see the cemetery.
I agree with you.
And maybe by tonight I can get a hold of Charlie, and if I can get a hold of Charlie, he can bring the papers down.
And
He just
maybe
lives in
Charlie
Lafayette.
Charlie, okay.
Can you arrange that kind of a thing?
I can arrange to have him on this laptop as soon as he has the information to get on.
As soon as I can get him, I don't know where he.
Okay.
I have no idea where he is, and he's not
Okay.
not answering.
That's a gift
Well, I
from
don't know why
COVID.
he isn't at home.
Well, they travel.
Well, no, yeah, but he was supposed to. He was at Jenny's. Did I say Jenny? He was at one of his sisters, and they've been working on it because they've been sending this stuff to me till I quit looking at it.
And the Pitzers are not far from the Crawfords.
Sally Ramaclis. She's a
Uh,
Pitzer now. She was a Pitzer.
Oh yes, that's right.
Uh-huh.
Yes, the pit.
I
Yeah,
know
that's his
where,
grandfather.
but I can't
Okay.
picture that cemetery.
It's way up on the hill. I mean,
I
way up.
never. I only know the general direction. I've never been there. Had no reason to.
Oh, I've been there my entire life, every
Okay.
Memorial Day. Who am I looking up here? I started to look at, oh, Charlie Walker again. I was going to see, I sent him a group text.
Lee, I'm going to mention a name, and I want you to sit there emotionless.
I'll try.
What are you talking
What
about?
are you doing?
And I've got to think, I've got to,
Are you talking about me?
no, I've got to come back.
Oh,
with
just
the-
hilarious.
No, he was, I believe, I'm working up to it, the Citizen of the Year in 1940, I believe. And I have pictures of this man. His son is an attorney here in town,
Young?
Charlie Young.
Yeah, Charlie.
Charlie Young.
Dan.
Yeah, now I see why you want me to be emotionless.
I'll go along with that.
But they would have some knowledge.
Very little. It's
Jane
little.
I
has
don't
been
think,
trying
I
to
don't think
reach.
Dan Young had knowledge of anything.
Jane has been trying to reach Dolores all afternoon.
They can't do it.
Well, they haven't, she hasn't called back.
Oh, yeah, but I didn't want to get away from here
Well,
without them hearing the
that's the
name.
phone call I made to Jane to say I'm at the library. If you hear from him, have him come here.
But he has a reason
To see
of
Dan Young,
interest.
you,
Oh, I know where he lives.
why would you want to see him?
Remember I told you there were many pieces to the puzzle.
Uh-huh.
I applied a couple weeks ago to Gail King at CBS News for Charlie Carrault's vacancy. Do you remember Charlie Carrault?
That name sounds very familiar.
He traveled
Oh,
For
across
30
the-
years.
Yes,
Yes.
oh, yeah, I forgot all about him, yes.
and went on the back roads highway interviewing people and made amazing discoveries.
Yes, I
Yes,
remember
that's
him.
true.
When he took his film clips to Walter Cronkite initially, Walter Cronkite laughed in his face and said, "Who would watch that crap?" And then smiled wider and said, "But your heart is so in this, I'm going to give you 4 weeks, and then that's it. You're off the air." And he went 30 years
Yeah.
every Sunday night until he died, July 4th, 1993.
Charles Carroll, yeah.
So I've applied for his vacancy,
Oh,
and part of what I'm doing interviews for is to fly to Gayle King in New York and say, watch these and then make a choice.
And Charlie Young is
And when I go into any place like Crossroads, I go, okay, who's the oldest living storyteller that is
Isn't
nonstop?
Charlie Young dead though?
no.
No, he's
no.
still living? Okay, I don't,
And Jane
I
says
unfortunately know Dan.
he's in the restaurant 4 or 5 times a week and sharp as a
I know
tack.
who knows it. Amelia Rand lives next door to his significant other,
Who's his significant other?
Charlie. I don't know, but I can find out.
Dolores.
My good friend lives next door apartment to, because she takes care of him apparently.
Are you talking senior citizen housing apartment?
Uh-huh.
Was that right on Perry Street North?
No,
Young Street?
Summit Street.
Oh,
Waymeyer's apartment.
Waymeyer's.
oh, that's where the librarian lives, one of the librarians. Yes, but if you are able then to stay,
Oh, Charlie would be glad to talk to you. He'd be glad to talk to anybody.
well, there would be an opportunity to,
Why did you ask her to hold her emotions back?
well, I just didn't want her to,
You'll have a lot to say.
Yes, he would. He always does.
So
And I don't know the gentleman, this is just by reputation. I do know his son.
well, he,
I knew one of his ex-wives.
see, but ex-wise makes it sound, is the word nefarious.
that's good.
I think they died,
Uh,
Or not flattering.
Died a long time ago, but then they all did. So
yeah, and he just married on, he has children by all of them.
I think so.
If maybe the last one, maybe not, but Dan is one of them. And his
One of
children.
the later ones.
That's correct. His children are all, I don't know of anyone that could say anything bad about any of them. But Charlie is a character.
A Rolling Stone.
No, he
Probably.
stayed right here.
He doesn't sing that I know of.
No, I mean like a Rolling Stone gathers no
No
moss.
moss.
He's an Attica person. So he might have Attica stories. I don't know.
Well, that's another part, but also it's a part of discovering the part of America that's missing right now. The
Oh, I
values.
hope. I hope.
The values, the background, the whatever. And the first interview I did on the road, which I started to tell you about, was a barber whose shop is across the street in Dayton, Tennessee, from the courthouse where the monkey trial was.
Oh.
And I spent 3 hours sitting in his shop, just talking and finding out history of the area. But as his guys came in to get their hair cut that didn't need cut, it was clear they were there to enjoy the barber because they didn't need a haircut.
Hello? Okay, Charlie, all right.
Good people.
I don't know Charlie Young's how to get hold of him, but I do know how to get hold of him.
Do you want to give that to her? Tell her if Charlie will
Well,
read that information,
I have a gentleman
he
here
can
that
join
is
this
related
meeting
to
without
this
leaving
one.
home.
And, yes, okay. when
Oh,
we
now
get
you
to
mean.
Yeah.
paperwork and stuff, and we're related to usual,
He said that Charlie could join
Oh,
this
just-
conversation right now.
Okay, just a minute. Here, I'm gonna let you I'll pass the phone over to him. All right, you tell him whatever. This is Charlie Walker.
Hey Charlie, it's Tom. This meeting is getting richer by the minute.
Hi, who is this?
I'm a descendant of Ezra Meeker and
Okay.
gathering information last year and this year to do a documentary film next year.
Well, that's fantastic. What is your first name?
Tom.
Hi,
Right?
Tom, about 20 years ago, did you stop at the same house and there's a fellow who was into Civil War reenactments? Was that you?
No.
Okay, that was another descendant. So, okay.
There are many, and when you find out that where they all connect or where they started to connect was Timothy Meeker.
Okay.
He was married 3 times and had 18 children.
Well, that's one thing about the Meekers, especially when television hadn't been invented yet. You got to do something. So,
Amen to that.
there you go.
So my maternal grandmother that pretty much raised me because I lived across the street from her.
Okay.
She was 3rd cousins with Ezra.
Wow, okay.
And so I spent a week last year out in Puyallup, the city that he built,
Yes.
learning all about, how they were connected. Because she always called him Grandpa Meeker, and I assumed that he was a grandfather of us.
Right.
But it turns out not. They were 3rd cousins because they came from the same lineage of Timothy Meeker and different wives.
Okay.
So that's part of it. Part of it is I'm following the trail from his birthplace to where his father moved the family to Laughlin, north of Cincinnati, and then from Laughlin to Attica. And then in the next day or two, we'll go from Attica to Eddyville, Iowa, where he married and moved with a new wife and prepared a year and a half to go on the trip.
Okay.
So that's where I finished this year. But I've already got time committed next year to take off, and I'm basically going to rent my home. I'm selling everything I own and
Wow.
going to travel without a destination in mind. But I'm
Well,
going to.
so it's still in the DNA then, Tom.
It is that. My grandmother's brother was also named Tom, was a journalist with no home. I mean, lived like Jesus. Sometimes in boxcars, sometimes wherever he could find shelter. And she said when he hit it big and got an article published, and he had a lot of stuff published by the LA Times, he'd go out, have steak, liquor, the finest hotel, and 2 weeks from then would be broke again, living in boxcars. So yeah, I've got it from all directions, I think.
You do. Now, where do you live right now, Tom?
Orlando, right outside of Orlando.
Okay, all righty. And how long are you going to be in Attica? Just tonight and tomorrow, or what?
Well, I'm writing notes about every day, and they're on the internet. And I start out every day with my plan, lowercase, and at the end of the day, I write his plan, uppercase.
Very good.
And it's pretty funny.
Very good.
But I basically have no idea where today's even going to end, much less tomorrow.
Well, are you spending the night at Carolyn's there tonight, or?
I don't know. I'm spending it somewhere.
Okay. Well, the information that she wants, I have another cousin, first cousin of mine, down in Indianapolis, and it takes 2 hours for me to drive down there. And she has the information, unfortunately, that Carolyn gave me a couple weeks ago, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago now. And Debbie Wesley is her name, and she's very much a computer specialist, and she's the last of us still working. I'm 71, she's 63 or something. She works for a big firm and has a lot of people around the world working for her in the computer world. Anyhow, she's also has a terrific interest in genealogy, and so I have the items that Carolyn had given me, so that we can scan all of that information and what have you. So
Right.
I physically don't have it with me right now. Gosh, I wish I had kind of known, because yesterday I was down there. Like I say, it takes 2 hours to drive down there. I do some scanning and stuff, and then I come back, so it's 4 hours out of my day.
Charlie, we want to know. I want to know exactly how we're related to Ezra. So I want to know how we're related to Usual, and she should have that on one of those papers.
Yes.
And that's what we need. So if you could get that, and she could send it to you, and you could send it to us, or better yet, if you could meet us tomorrow. I don't have to have the physical thing in my hands.
Let me give another option.
Okay.
One of the gifts of COVID has been learning how to use electronics, since we can't meet in person. And I'm going to give you my WebEx information and the join meeting, and I can tell you anytime you want to talk, or we convey this whole group together.
Okay, cool.
It's free. It's no limit on time, because I've got a license, and you can basically put 2 people or 50 people together on the same screen, and when one person talks, they take up the whole screen.
That's really a cool system.
And then you can show documents, you can look at spreadsheets, you can look at Word documents or pictures or whatever you're talking about. And last year, I spent a week in Puyallup, the city that he founded in Washington,
Did you say Larry
and
was
brought back
retiring?
electronically a 7-foot by 3-foot scroll. And I have the second print of it,
Works at Macy's.
and no others exist.
Wow.
And it's a huge file, and I'm working off my phone hotspot right now. But
Okay.
as soon as I get somewhere that there's enough website to be able to send it, I'll send you a copy.
Well, that would be great. This is almost like the Shroud of Turin or something.
Yeah, close.
You know?
It goes from Ezra and his wife all the way back to Albert in England.
Wow.
And they came over in 1637 and pretty well took over Elizabethtown, New Jersey, which is now Elizabeth.
Yes. Wow.
So August 22nd, I had reservations in Sheffield, England, where a friend of mine lives 10 miles from the cemetery where Albert and his whole family's buried.
Wow.
And of course, that was not a gift from COVID, but indirectly it was, because I wouldn't have made this trip. I would never have taken off 16 days in a block to do the trip. So
Right.
that's why there's my plan and his plan.
Wow. That's great. What I'm thinking about, Tom, is if I were to call my cousin Debbie down in Indianapolis, she might be able to scan or do whatever and have the information itself on the location, the connection with Ezra and so forth. I know that Usual, the guy with whom we're descended primarily in the area here in Indiana, he was born and raised, well, much of it in Ithaca, New York.
Yes.
And I think when he was like 5 to 11 years old, something like that, they were in the Cincinnati area. So there's that connection. And do you have the pictures of the famous wedding picture? There's a famous wedding picture taken in 1891 when Usual's 80 years old, 1891, and he's got 5 of his remaining children and all the grandchildren and everybody there. And that house actually still stands.
Yeah, I've already told him about it. He's going to come see it tomorrow. Charlie, I'm going to give you his telephone number and let you call him back, because I have to be in a meeting at 6 o'clock. So you want to give... And Charlie, whenever you guys decide you want to meet tomorrow, I will meet you. You want to...
Well,
Yes.
that's wonderful. We'll do that. I had another meeting and stuff, but I think that can be delayed.
Okay,
don't,
listen.
don't, 'cause we
Listen,
can do this anytime.
I'm going to give him Kate's number. 765 427 0094, and he can call you right back. I'm sorry, I have to leave and you're on my phone.
Thank you, Carolyn. You take care.
All right,
Take care.
bye-bye.
Bye. Love you. Bye-bye.
So whatever you guys decide, you just give me a call. Lee can reach me. I promise I have to be there. We have a new preacher. I have to go.
Carolyn, do you want me as a paying guest?
No, you
Okay.
can stay, but it's not for advertisement.
No.
I need my papers.
I would prefer paying.
I would prefer not.
Because then it has to be legal.
It has to be legal, and my son is really not letting anybody in unless they sign a paper for the virus and whatnot.
Oh.
So if you want to stay, you may stay, but you don't. It's not for advertisement, and you just have to promise you won't sue me and whatever. So you
Or tell anybody where you stayed in
Right.
Attica.
No,
Gotcha. Okay, I apologize.
don't.
I'm very, very
Thank you.
excited. Thank you for
thank
calling.
you, thank you, thank you.
You guys text me later, okay?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Charlie is, the way we got to connect with him, he lived in my apartment. I had an apartment upstairs. And so Charlie Walker came back, retired from the Army, and came there for, because his mother lived down the street from me. Another one of those happen things. So anyway, you all got acquainted with Charlie and his mother, Irma Walker, remember? So anyway, what a character. Anyway, so then it turns out then that he has these connections with all the Attica arrangements, so that it's all like secondary as it happens kind of thing. So I knew Charlie from the fact that he lived in my apartment, and then turns out that he's got all these other connections with. He knew he had connections in Attica because his mother had lived here and then moved away and then came back to retire. She retired back to Attica. So then Charlie came back to Attica, and so then then it was all quiet for years because Charlie married the Methodist superintendent of he met her here, and second marriages from both, and they met and fell in love, and so he now is adjunct to a she's really great. Kate is just fantastic, and they kept giving her, wouldn't let her retire, so anyway, but now she has finally really retired for about the third or fourth time, and they live in West Lafayette. So Charlie does whatever Kate needs to have done.
Great.
So that's the kind of thing that, and then he wanted a place.
And what did Kate do?
She's district superintendent in the Methodist Church, overseeing big areas,
Right.
and she's so talented that they have her do difficult things,
I'm sorry, I gotta get my phone charger. I'm almost out of juice. Call Charlie back and he will talk to you.
Do you want me to loan you one until tonight? I've got a portable one.
No, I have multiple ones at home. I'm just almost out of juice.
Okay,
So this is fine. But call Charlie back and he'll talk to you.
okay. I think he said he had a meeting.
tomorrow.
I thought he said tomorrow.
Okay.
He's gonna work on something tomorrow.
Yes, but you will need to call him back so that you can arrange that. So he has his own things.
Where is she a district superintendent?
Pardon?
In Indiana?
Uh-huh.
Where?
Oh, she's been around various places
Like,
in Indiana. I
I'm
mean.
just curious because
I never paid any attention because I'm
a
a
family that
Presbyterian.
moved from Muncie, the dad was the district superintendent in the Muncie area,
Oh.
which is quite large. And when he retired and moved to Florida, a woman took his place. And that was still pretty new then. It wouldn't surprise me.
Since I'm a Presbyterian, I never paid much attention. I just knew that she did, and one of those. They met at a Christmas party one time and just hit it off. And so because he was just available, he'd retired from the Army, so he was a photographer actually. He does he had a photography business back when he was here, and then he is just kind of, he does it informally. But yeah, I recognize this equipment because he does these things for us irregularly. But they do travel a lot as they're in, now that they have really retired.
Where would you meet tomorrow here?
I have no idea.
You don't know.